Okay guys, I'm really excited about this video. I got two things I need to talk about. Number one, I'm going into the cam business. That's right, you heard me right. I'm going into the LS cam business. I'm bringing two new cams to market, and I figured out a way to bring them to market and sell them for less than anybody else. That's right, but I need your help. Let's figure out what cams to bring to market first. Number two, let's talk about test motors. I've got three in mind. Ultimately, I'm going to do all three, but what I need your help with, let's decide what order I do them. Which one is most popular? Which one should I do first? We got a lot to talk about, so let's get going. Okay guys, let's jump right into this. I am getting into the cam business, and rest assured it's not going to change anything that I'm doing with the channel. As a matter of fact, it's for the channel that I'm getting into this business. It's not because the camshaft market, at least for me, is going to be tremendously lucrative. I mean, when it's all said and done, I might be able to make $5 or $10 off of each one of these cams, and since I'm not going to sell a million cams, this isn't done for the money. It's just a way that you guys can support the channel, and the way that you can do that obviously is buying these cams. But I wouldn't expect you to do that just out of the kindness of your heart. I wouldn't expect you guys to support the channel if I wasn't bringing something to the table, if I wasn't helping you guys out. And what I'm going to do is hopefully, if these things work out, I'm going to be able to bring camshafts to market that are less money than anybody else's. But again, that's not quite enough. It wouldn't be enough unless these camshafts were also making as much power as anybody else's. Now, the one thing I'm not going to do, and anybody that's watched this channel or knows what I've been doing for the last 25 years, I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you, like other people might, that my camshaft is the best cam on the market. It makes more power than anything else out there. I don't do that, haven't done that in the past, and I'm not going to do that now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spend a lot of time on the dyno and develop the camshaft and get something that works. But what will happen is this camshaft will work the same as everybody else's out there. And to start off with, I want to do two cams. The first one I want to do is going to be a truck cam. So what I want to know from you guys is, should I do a stage 1, a stage 2, or a stage 3 truck cam? I'm not going to even consider doing a stage 4 truck cam, because in my opinion, if you're looking at a stage 4 truck cam, you should be looking at a regular kind of camshaft, something that has more lift and all that stuff. If you're looking at something that has those kind of duration numbers, you should step up to the regular size camshaft. What I'm leaning towards, and the thing I'm probably going to do, but I want to know if this is what you guys want, the ideal situation, because we're going to try to bring a low price cam to the market, I want it to actually be a low price cam. And by that I mean I would like it to be a cam only upgrade, meaning no springs, no converter change. The only thing you'll have to do obviously is you will have to tune it, as you do with any camshaft that adds this kind of power. So it would be a low lift truck cam. It would also have the right duration figures to allow it to idle and drive and stuff with the factory torque converter. And I think that that's the ideal situation, but I want you guys to let me know. Do you want something bigger than that? Do you want something with more chop than that? I mean, in a truck cam, I'm going to offer another cam that we're going to talk about in just a minute. In the truck cam, I think that probably the chop is not going to be quite as necessary as the other camshaft. So that's my idea on this. Should I do a stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3 truck cam? Which one should I do? And do you guys like the idea of this being a low lift, only install the cam, no springs required, use the factory torque converter, all you need to do is a tune? And we talked a little bit about what the power output's going to be, but I'll be able to bring you all that information. But rest assured, there are no magic like valve events available out there from anybody. Not from me, not from any of the cam manufacturers. If we test a bunch of, let's say, stage 2 truck cams, they're all going to be very, very similar. I know that because I've tested lots and lots of them. You know, I've run cam tests where we've run 10, 20, even 30 different camshafts. I mean, I did that recently, or not recently, years ago on an LS3. We ran cams ranging from the stock cam all the way up to the biggest cam that would fit in the available piston to valve clearance. You know, 232 or 232 degrees, 233 degrees, depending on what the lobe separation angle was. And here's what I can tell you. You're not going to get a big change in power if they all have similar intake durations. If you take a look at the results of that sloppy stage 2 cam, the NA portion of that, you'll see that all of these cams, even though they varied from the different manufacturers, they basically all made kind of the same power. And this truck cam that I'm going to offer will also offer the same power as everybody else's. I'm not going to say that this is going to be better than everybody else's, because it won't be. It will be the same because they all are the same. There's no magic specs there. Even from guys that do custom cams, it's just not there. So what the cam will give you is, hopefully you could just buy the cam by itself and not have to change the other things. It will be less expensive than any other new cam out there. It'll be available on the shelf when everything's ready to go, and we'll have good customer service. So it should have all of that. So that's the truck cam. The next one is going to be the stage 2 cam, and we can call it a stage 2 turbo cam. We can call it a stage 2 nitrous cam, stage 2 NA cam, or stage 2 blower cam, because as we know, every cam is a turbo cam, every cam is a blower cam, and that includes this little truck cam. The low lift truck cam can also be used with boost, and I'll show you test results of that, and I've already kind of done that. We know that they all work under boost. So if you have put that mild cam in and you want it to drive around and idle nice and work with a stock converter, and you want to add boost later on, you'll be able to do that. It will work fine. If you want even more power, and this other cam that I'll bring to market will basically be, let's say, a stage 2 turbo cam. The only thing is, it will work better than most stage 2 turbo cams, not because there are magic valve events, only because I will make it more like a stage 2 NA cam. So it will offer more power NA, and therefore it will offer more power under boost. Now sure, a dedicated turbo cam, if you guys want to do that, and you guys want to go racing and you want to run to 8,500 RPM, that's not me. That's not where I think that the market is for the camshaft that I want to bring to market. I'm going to bring it for the average guy that wants an S475 or lower kind of turbo, a guy that's 1,000 horsepower or less, a guy that runs a 4.8 or a 5.3 and is running it in a realistic RPM range, because as we saw in that sloppy stage 2 test, milder cams, especially on the 4.8, actually work better. So the other camshaft that I would bring to market is going to be a really good NA stage 2 kind of cam. It will work great under boost in these kind of ranges. It's not a dedicated race cam. I'm not interested in that. There's lots of good sources for that kind of thing. So those will be the offerings. A very mild, I say stage 2, no springs required kind of truck cam, if that's what you guys want. But let me know, stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3. And then what about this other stage 2 turbo cam, stage 2 NA cam, stage 2 nitrous cam, stage 2 blower cam, any kind of stage 2 thing. But let me know, what do you guys think? Should it be a stage 1? Should it be a stage 3? Let me know. You guys can help me decide, but those are the cams I'm thinking about. Let me know what I should bring. Now let's talk about those project motors. When it comes to project motors, I really have 3 in mind. I mean, I have probably 10 or 15 of them in mind, but I've got to start somewhere, so I've narrowed it down to these 3. And I want to know what you guys think. Let me know which ones of these, or which one of these you guys would like to see first, because then I'll run the other 2 after that as I build up enough money to pay for the engine itself and the shipping, if we have to ship it, unless I go get it from a wrecking yard myself, for all of the parts, a lot of stuff. Sometimes the guys will give me. I have some of the stuff. I have turbos. I have, intercoolers and tubing and that kind of stuff, because whatever we run, we're definitely going to run boost on. We're going to run nitrous on. We got dyno stuff that we got to pay for. There's a lot of stuff, and that's why I have to do these things one at a time, because I've got to build up enough money to make all this happen, and then do the testing and the videos and all that stuff, so make you guys happy. But here are the 3 motors that I'm thinking about. First one is an LT1, and I'm not talking about the early 70s LT1. I'm talking about the Gen 2, the mid 90s LT1. I want to run that, and I'm going to do the usual kind of testing. I want to do, cylinder heads, camshafts, intake manifolds, obviously whatever thing we have to do with the OptiSpark. We're going to run it not with a factory ECU, definitely with an aftermarket ECU like a Fast or a Holley or something, and so that we don't have any problems. We'll obviously optimize the tune, all that stuff. We can run different kind of headers. We can run nitrous on it. We can run a blower. We can run turbos. We can run all kinds of stuff, because it's a small block Chevy. That will be interesting. But the other thing that I want to do with the LT1 in conjunction with that is I also want to get the 4.3 liter version, the small one from the Caprice, and I want to run that. And we can do similar things with that. We can do, you know, our own head porting because that's a different head. We can obviously do camshafts, smaller camshafts for the smaller displacement. We can find out how headers work and nitrous and blowers and turbos and all that. We can do that on the small one, but ultimately what I want to do is I want to combine those two. So I want to take the crank and rods out of the smaller 4.3, install the pistons from the LT1, and then that way we can produce a DZ, you know, a modern DZ 302, which I think will be cool. Now, ultimately, a lot of guys are going to be upset because I'm going to tell them that the the hybrid of these two is not better than both of them. As a matter of fact, it's going to go in order of displacement. A 350 will make more power than a 302, and the 302 will make more power than the 262 or whatever the 4.3 liter is. So that's what happens with displacement. No matter how high we rev it, none of that stuff. There's only two instances where a 5 liter might make more than a 5.7 liter, and that's if we have limited exhaust flow on a turbo, or we're limited some other way, like by head flow or something. But it's still cool, and that's the reason that I would do it. I would do it because it's a modern DZ 302, which just all by itself is certainly awesome. It's unique and it's available, and so that's a reason to do it. So that's one of the motors. The next one is the L67, the 3800 Series 2 V6 motor. I've got a lot of stuff that I can test on that. Obviously, we're going to run the blower, we're going to run different inlets, we'll port the blower, throttle bodies, different pulleys. But then ultimately what I want to do is I'd like to do a big bang on this motor. We want to do naturally while we're testing, we want to do ported heads, we want to do camshaft, you know, nitrous. I don't think I'll do an intercooler unless somebody wants to supply one. So if you're out there and you got an intercooler for these and you'd like to supply one and see it tested, I would be happy to do that. I'm not going to make one myself. We will run an intercooler when we run the turbo. What I probably will do is we'll run a hybrid blowing through the blower, just because it's really super cool, because it's a compound system, and why wouldn't you do that? Because it would be awesome. And then we could add nitrous to that. Then it would be total pro street. But so there's a lot of cool stuff. But then ultimately what I want to do is we'll put the naturally aspirated intake manifold on there, or some other intake, some fabricated intake manifold. We'll run an air to water intercooler, we'll do ring gap on it, and then we'll see what the stock bottom end will take in terms of boost and power. I think we can make a lot of power with that motor, and it's just kind of cool because I was a big fan of those. I had a company, Ram Air Technology, that actually dealt with a lot of stuff. We made a lot of performance products for it, so I'm pretty familiar with that particular combination. And I think that there's a lot of them in wrecking yards, and it's just kind of a cool deal. It was factory built for boost, so I'm assuming that it's fairly stout. We've never tried to maximize it out, but I'd like to do that. So let me know if that's the one that you want to see first. The final one is another one that I think would be really cool, and it would be totally different than the other two, and that's the 4.9 liter or 5 liter inline 6-cylinder, the Ford. And specifically, I'm going to go with the later, the 87 and up, I think are the years when it started, the fuel injected version. And I want to go fuel injected because it will be able to tune it better. I don't want to deal with the carburetors and stuff. We want to run it fuel injected because I have some cool stuff that I want to do. Now, we won't try to big bang this motor, and I probably won't do that on the LT1 either, where I kind of limit that to that V6. But on this one, we're going to run low RPM stuff, so we can start these runs at 2,000 because this thing's not going to rev out to 6,500 or 7,000. I've got some really cool stuff that I want to do with that fuel injected intake manifold. We've got some, obviously we're going to run a turbo on it. We're going to run cams. We'll do some head porting on it. You know, so we'll do some fun things with that, and it's just for a different application, but that doesn't make it any less cool. Like, maximum power isn't always the thing that you want to do. That's kind of a low RPM tow motor, and so we'll try to optimize it for that. I mean, I want to try some different camshafts in it and see maybe how bad we can ruin the power band. But I think ported heads will be good because I'm sure that that thing has got, I'm not that familiar with it. I haven't airflow tested that head, but I'm sure that it has limited head flow. It has really long intake runners. So there's going to be a lot of fun stuff to play with, obviously headers and things like that. So there'll be a lot of cool stuff. So let me know. Here are our choices. LT1, the L67 3800 Series 2 V6, or the inline Ford 6-cylinder, and and with those there'll be 5, 6, or 7 or whatever videos for each one of them, because there'll be a lot of mods that we'll do to them. So which ones do you want to see first? And let me know, and I'll get going. Camshafts, projects, all kinds of stuff. I'm Richard Holdner. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. I'll keep testing.